This is MuggleCast, the Harry Potter podcast discussing everything about J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World. This week's episode is sponsored by Blue Apron. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free, including free shipping, by going to blueapron.com/MuggleCast. And by ZipRecruiter. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. Post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/MuggleCast. Welcome to MuggleCast episode 337. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
I'm Micah.
And we've got a patron joining us this week, Robert, coming to us from Florida. Hey, Robert, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Glad to be here.
Good to have you on. We want to get your fandom ID. But first, you also just mentioned just before we started recording that you met your wife through Harry Potter. Tell us about that. How'd that happen?
Yeah, we actually met during the premiere for the 6th movie. So my brother and her sister were good friends through high school, and we had just never happened to meet. And then we all decided to meet and go to the premiere for the 6th movie in Orlando. And so that's where we actually met.
Oh, awesome. And then, okay, so that was what, 2009? 10?
I don't remember the year for that. We met then, and we didn't start dating until several years later.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, cool. That's awesome. Harry Potter bringing people together.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's learn a little bit about you and your experience with Harry Potter. What are your favorite book and movie?
So book, I'd say my favorite one is the 3rd one, Prisoner of Azkaban, but I actually think that the 6th one is the best book. As far as movie, I'd probably go with the 6th one since that's where my wife and I met.
I was going to say, I feel like you probably are safe going with that one.
Was your wedding cake like Half-Blood Prince poster?
No, but she actually did work a quote from Harry Potter into our vows, so that was good.
Nice.
Oh.
Which one was it? Always?
No, she worked in actually for about Hagrid. What's coming will come, and we'll face it when it does.
That's my favorite. I love that.
That's nice. I thought the quote was going to be 2 sickles a scoop. What's your favorite character? Who is your favorite character?
I've got 3, actually. I really like Hermione, Dumbledore, and Luna.
Solid.
Okay. And what's your Patronus? According to Pottermore.
According to Pottermore, I'm a polecat, which, after a little research, is basically a ferret.
And what are your Hogwarts and Ilvermorny houses?
Ravenclaw for Hogwarts and Wampus for Ilvermorny.
Nice.
And well, your wife is also a patron, so we'll wait until she's on because I want to know if there was any compatibility issues there with the houses. But we'll wait.
Yeah, this is the benefit of getting to go first, is I get to tell the stories.
What? And then have you read J.K. Rowling's other books?
Yeah, I've read all of them actually.
Okay, so what do you like best outside of Harry Potter?
I really like the Cormoran Strike series, but I think the Cuckoo's Calling for me was by far the best one.
Ooh.
Did you try to run out and get it when the surprise was revealed?
Oh, yeah, and I'm really mad at myself because I wanted it as soon as possible, so I went and bought it on Kindle or iBooks, and I realize now that I probably could have found a copy that didn't have J.K. Rowling written on it anywhere,
Right.
which would have been a really cool thing to have.
Exactly. I have one. Mike and Eric, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. You guys are a lot smarter than I was about it.
Did I give you mine, Eric? Was that it?
No, I was out there. I was working, and I was right next to a Barnes & Noble when the announcement came. So
okay.
I scooted right over.
What are the odds
Yeah.
that would happen?
Yeah.
I bought 2 copies, and then I gave the other one to somebody. I can't remember who. I wish I didn't now. I wish I just held on to both of them.
Yeah. I think you probably told that story on an earlier MuggleCast, and it's in there who you gave it to, so.
Yeah. That is one thing I did not return. I returned some things, but not
to
that
the
special
store for credit.
And then finally, just an oddball question here. What's your favorite broom in the Harry Potter series?
That's a tough one. You want to go with Firebolts? This is the fastest, but I think I'd have to say the Nimbus 2000. It's the classic.
That is a classic, yeah. Harry's first, right? Cool. Well, welcome to the show. You also wanted to mention you went to the Harry Potter concert series. Tell us about that.
Yeah, if I mean, I've got to say, it was, we went, my wife and I, we actually planned a whole trip to Nashville because they weren't playing it anywhere around us at the time. And we planned the trip around that. And for any fan, if you have a chance to go, I'd say go. It was by far one of the coolest things I've ever been to. They did it in the Nashville Symphony Hall, which is a really cool older building. And you walk in and they've got this big screen hanging over the stage and the full orchestra out. And, you're sitting there and they start the movie. And when they start playing that just initial opening, that iconic Harry Potter, you're just grinning from ear to ear. And the symphony gets... What's that?
Was it Philosopher's Stone then? Like the whole movie with the orchestra then?
Yeah, the whole movie played.
Oh, cool.
And they did, I was wondering how much would they actually play? Was it just going to be a little bit? But they did special effects, they did sounds, they played the whole movie.
Huh.
That is so cool. And you also think about how like they had a special version of the movie playing where none of that was part of the track. You know what I mean? So they had to create it all. Special effects too, huh? That's interesting. I didn't know that.
It was really cool. We're actually going to see the Chamber of Secrets in Orlando in November when they're here too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think they're slowly but surely going to go through all 8 movies, I guess. So something to look forward to.
Seems like that
sounds great.
That's something that they're doing more and more of because I actually went to see one for Game of Thrones here earlier this year at Madison Square Garden. It kind of sounds similar that they would have orchestra playing, but also have all these different special effects as well.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings films come to Ravinia in Highland Park. Andrew, I was telling you about that place. It's the outdoor picnic grove. But you can see all 3 Lord of the Rings films with the orchestra playing behind them as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot to get to on today's show. We're going to have a discussion on the courses of Hogwarts. Hogwarts is 12 courses.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to break down each one. Micah, Eric, and I have each selected a couple courses to guide the audience through. We also have a little bit of news today, including Jude Law spotted with his Dumbledore beard. It's real.
Do we know? You'll go into it.
So we'll get to all that in a second. But first, it's time to tell you about today's first sponsor. They are Blue Apron, the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Their mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everybody. And they achieve this by supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients, building a community of home chefs like me, their newest. They have established partnerships with over 150 local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across the United States. So you get really good quality food. And it really comes through when you're cooking it. A couple of the featured upcoming meals, the skillet vegetable chili with cornmeal and cheddar drop biscuits. Southern Hagrid would like that, I think. The garlic butter shrimp and corn with green bean salad and roasted purple tomatoes. Some really nice stuff on this week's menu. You can check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/MuggleCast. You are going to love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That is blueapron.com/MuggleCast. Blue Apron is a better way to cook, and as my dad says, keep them coming. When's the next one coming? Texted me the other day, asked me, Dad, it's coming next month, okay? Wait. Well, he doesn't cook them, by the way.
Yeah, but
Mama Sims does.
Well, of course, but I mean, why not have him do his own order? Why do you have to handle it for him?
Because I'm hooking him up. I'm hooking him up with the complimentary Blue Aprons.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. They do get meals for 4, Micah, and there's only 2 at that house now, living at that house now. So if you ever want to go over for a Mama Sims Blue Apron dinner, let me know.
Look, I mean, hey, look, if Heidi wants to make the invite, I'm more than willing to go over.
I swear Mike has talked for like a decade about coming to my house just to visit, and it's never happened.
I did it once. I did it.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun.
End of some summer.
Yeah. Ben and I played pool, and I lost. I really, really lost badly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's good at pool.
If
you're looking for an opportunity to go, the Blue Aprons are worth it. We've been doing them recently, too, and they really are good.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that. All right, so let's get to a little bit of news. The internet lost its mind earlier this week when Pottery Barn's teen line, PB Teen, and we'll touch on that fact in a second, unveiled this new collection of bedroom merchandise. And I just wanted to mention it because people are really losing their minds this week. It went viral, the Hypable story. So many people were sharing it. They just have this beautiful new stuff for the bedroom. They've got like this gorgeous owl lamp. They've got this mirror of Erised that like also doubles as a storage cabinet. They've got this beautiful bedding, like this Daily Prophet bedding. These Quidditch Captain pillows. What's so cool about it, I think, is even though it's under the PB Teen line, it still looks like adult Harry Potter fans could use it as well. Mm-hmm. Could buy it as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at these items now, and I'm just blown away by the craftsmanship and like how, again, like adult or professional they look. The winged keys, which can hold, jewelry or anything with a chain or a strap, in particular, are gorgeous, and they're shot in a professional studio, again, in a room that's too nice, nobody will ever have. Right. But it looks amazing. And honestly, like, I get the feeling that Pottery Barn, whoever designed this, was clearly a Harry Potter fan, which is a huge plus. And, in terms of them picking what items they would be selling or what patterns or designs, they chose wisely. This looks like something that I would want to own. I would seriously buy pretty much everything in this line.
The bedroom just looks so inviting. Like you just want to snuggle up in that magical looking bed
and read Harry Potter. Yeah.
Yeah. So I also wanted to mention it because we were just talking about merchandising a few weeks ago. They've just been doing a great job with the licensing and letting some good quality stuff be made for adults. And I think that's the key. Like, we're all growing up with Harry Potter, still loving it, and they're making good stuff for us adults. I mentioned Jude Law spotted in his Dumbledore beard. So we talked about these rumors that they were filming at Hogwarts, and just more and more evidence seems to be coming to light. They're finished now, but Jude Law was spotted very close to where Hogwarts filming was taking place, and there were 2 pictures of him taken. He is playing younger Dumbledore in Fantastic Beasts 2, and he's got a bit of a beard going on, and I guess that's the beard he's gonna have in the movie?
I guess. I wonder if they aren't if that's just not like his real beard, but then they're doing like extensions or something else during the show. The reason I say it is because it's quite short. And Dumbledore, I mean, when we meet him in book 1, this is obviously 60 years later, but his beard is so long that it's tied into his belt at his waist. That's a long beard. That's a long Dumbledore beard. So I don't know. Maybe there's some extra character development where the reason his beard is that long in the 90s is because he let himself go after his heartbreak from Grindelwald and all this other stuff. But right now he needs to get growing because I think it's a little short.
Well, you know what, though? I'm looking at the flashback scene from Half-Blood Prince. And Michael Gambon's beard actually is not long at all in those scenes. I would say it's maybe just a tad longer than what you see on Jude Law. But this Dumbledore does have his hair down to his shoulders. So maybe Jude Law probably will wear a wig because he's kind of losing his hair.
Oh gosh.
But
I think this is probably his beard. I think you're right about that, and because I mean, I think they would just shave him if they were going to put on a prosthetic beard, because it's probably very, very difficult to work with glue with existing facial hair. But yeah, it's cool. Like I like this news. It's good to see that. I think it's really good to see the reality of Jude Law as Dumbledore coming to light. Because we read the news, but this makes it a little bit more real.
To be honest, I wasn't really sure how I felt about Jude Law in the role, but after seeing that picture, I can see it a little bit more. What do you guys think?
I'm sure he'll do a great job. I really just don't know what to expect, so I'm kind of just like meh about it until we actually see him in a trailer or something.
Yeah. The second picture that you had there looks a little bit more Dumbledore-esque.
I think so as well.
If you just imagine his scarf is his beard.
Yeah.
His gray
I'm
scarf.
not concerned as much about the beard. I mean, I think they can always use CGI or other technology. So, but short beard would be cool. A little bit more laid back type of Dumbledore.
Yeah.
James, who's listening live over on Patreon, he says, I'd love to see his beard get longer and longer with each film.
I want to see like
cool.
Pickett crawling around in his beard. and Newt's like, sorry, sir, I have to get that. And he grabs it.
Micah seems to be repulsed by that idea.
Micah was disturbed by my suggestion.
It's a little weird, like, you know.
Well, what I mean is, like, it would be like a good moment for humor. These films are so dark; they're so hung up on being so dark. We should just have some beard humor. Come on.
There was a lot of humor in the first film, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what it reminds me of? Madame Maxime going into Hagrid's beard and eating like leftover food. I can't really see.
God!
Kind
I
of
forgot about that.
around there. That's
yeah. Never mind. For I rescind the suggestion.
this is where
Thanks,
the
guys. Glad we
discussion
talked about
has
It
gone.
is going to be a little surreal seeing a Harry Potter character merge or be in the same film as a Fantastic Beasts character. And Pickett crawling in Dumbledore's beard just made me think about that. Like, it's kind of, we're going to be watching two worlds merging, even though it is a new actor playing Dumbledore.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. So it looks like they are finished with the Hogwarts filming. They seem to totally have kept it a secret. It would have been cool if J.K. Rowling tweeted like, hey, I'm on the set of Hogwarts with young Dumbledore. Yes, that is his real beard.
Yeah.
We're not using glue or digital enhancements.
Right.
Micah, we're going to look back to last week's episode. We got some feedback.
Yeah. So last week's episode we spent discussing magical transportation and which forms we would prefer, but we heard from a bunch of listeners over on Twitter. And actually, Robert, why don't you go first? Why don't you let us know which one you prefer, and then I'll jump in with all these others that gave feedback.
I think if I had to pick just one, it would be apparition. It's hard to argue with how convenient that is. And when I think about, getting to work, traveling, all those type of things, really be the best way to go. But if you're going for fun, I think broomsticks would be all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, a lot of people agreed with you. Emily Rugburn, Gina, who has guest hosted this show a number of times, said, my friends are really spread out right now, so I'll vote Portkey. But it would be interesting to discuss the range limit on Portkeys. So how far can you actually go?
Right.
Haley says, if it didn't involve getting dirty, I'd be a fan of flu powder, even though you could probably just use a spell to clean yourself up. Since that would require extra effort, I'd have to go with apparition. Convenient, no limits on the destination for the most part, and clean.
Actually, I think apparition has more distance limits than Portkeys, which is why Newt takes the boat at the beginning of Fantastic Beasts. But, yeah.
Well, yeah, and apparition, apparently it's very hard, if not impossible, to go, overseas, so.
Yeah. Well, I love the idea of wouldn't use flu powder because you get dirty and don't want to go through the effort of doing a cleanup spell. That sounds like me as a wizard.
Mm-hmm. Rachel says, apparition or Portkey. I love the idea of getting somewhere in an instant. Recently moved across the country and wish I had a Portkey.
Rachel.
Oh, come on. You don't like long-distance driving? I love long-distance driving. I'm going to be a trucker.
Yeah.
Sims trucking?
Yeah, sure.
Well, Nimmy, flu powder. I'd pronounce places wrong just to see where I'd end up.
So some flu powder operators hates you. Mm-hmm. You always give him a hard job.
But that's taking a little bit of a different spin on it. Normally we worry about saying the wrong name, but this person seems to be up for the adventure of it all.
Living on the edge, yeah.
That's like picking up the phone and just dialing a number and seeing who picks up.
Mm-hmm. Lauren Lawson at Hogwarts Ginger. Torn between a broomstick and apparition, broom would be similar to a motorcycle, but apparition is instant. It would depend on the destination. Stephanie says, Hippogriff for the win. Imagine the major wedgie you would get for flying on a broom for hours.
There's got to be an anti-wedgie charm or something.
/ people do have those little seats.
Yeah.
That they put on the broom.
That's true. That is
Not
true.
riding
For
bicycles
water
on your...
Yeah.
Abby at, we'll pass on that handle. Gotta be a Thestral for me.
Yeah.
Yes, we are a family-friendly show. Most of the time. Natalie, Vanishing Cabinet seems pretty Russian roulette-y, but, curious.
Okay, another person living on the edge.
Not something we mentioned, I don't think, on last week's episode.
Vanishing Cabinet.
No.
Paul says, gotta be riding a dragon.
Yeah.
Muhammad, broomstick sounds fun. I'll take the Nimbus 2000, of course. So, agrees with Robert there. Kevin, the magic carpet is the most comfortable form of travel. When will Europe adopt it?
Nice.
Ari,
That Axminster.
yeah. Ari says, I need one of those fancy underwater ships. Durmstrang knows what's up. Bree, broomstick. Out of all the forms of transportation, it seems to be the safest. And apparition, but only for emergencies. Stephanie Martin, hashtag Team Flu Powder. It's cheap and easy. Turning the fireplace on is probably like calling the electric company when you move. Not creepy.
Yeah.
And finally, Lauren Downs, flying a Muggle car would be comfortable and useful, or flying without a broom because a broom would not be comfortable on long distances. So,
And
there you go.
Think about the air blowing on your face for hours. It'd be like riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But thanks to everybody who tweeted at us. We had, I think it was over 50 responses to this question. So definitely one of our more popular questions that we've asked on the MuggleCast Twitter.
Yeah. Good variety of answers, too. I like that.
Yeah. So, on this week's episode, our main discussion are the courses of Hogwarts. We've been going through broader elements of the series. It's been a lot of fun. We've been getting a lot of great feedback, by the way, so thank you. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through each course as swiftly as possible, because we got a lot of them. We're going to give you a brief overview. Then we're going to grade its importance in a wizard's overall education. And then, since we are talking about courses, we're going to offer a little pop quiz related to each course. Okay?
Okay.
Did you guys prepare for that? Because I did.
Oh,
Okay, just checking.
I prepared trivia questions for all of you.
Well, I have
okay.
one
Oh,
trivia
gosh.
question, not trivia questions for every person.
Oh.
I have one for each subject.
Yes.
Oh, that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't have 4 trivia questions.
Oh, okay.
That would be
good.
highly ambitious of you, Eric.
Yeah, I didn't do that. No.
I've got a couple of them too for you guys.
There you
Oh,
go.
all right,
Uh-oh.
all right.
Okay. So we'll kick it off with Micah.
Yeah. So the first subject up is astronomy, and it is taught by Professor Aurora Sinestra, and it's a mandatory subject at Hogwarts, something that needs to be taken in all of the first 5 years, right, of a student being at the school. I ended up with all mandatory courses. I'm not sure how that happened, but I'll live with it.
Well, most of them are for at least a couple of years, it seems.
Right. But one of the owl subjects, classes meet at midnight on the top of the astronomy tower, and the course is really similar to how us Muggles would go about taking it. The students learn the names of stars and constellations of planets and their moons, and they study the motions of the planets and the stars. As far as required course materials, you do need a telescope, although there is one at Hogwarts, star charts, and reference books. So
Nice.
it is, again, similar to the astronomy we would all take.
Except not at midnight, probably.
No.
It's so interesting a couple of things come to mind. One is the curfew. So they're usually supposed to be in bed. I'm assuming they get escorted each night to class, and that would kind of mess up everybody's sleep schedule. But actually, the other thing is that astronomy is never shown in the books, mentioned 100 times, but I really don't think you ever actually see them in astronomy class. You hear about Sinistra, but she doesn't have a single line of dialogue. And really, I think the closest we get is Harry's on the grounds when he notices the astronomy tower has caught fire, or maybe he's actually up at the astronomy tower and he notices Hagrid's hut has caught on fire. I'm not sure, but
I would be against this class because it's taking place at midnight. Like, don't students have a hard time staying awake, especially if you consider their age?
Yeah,
and if they have courses in the morning.
Yeah, I guess the theory is too. I mean, you can't do much stargazing during the day,
right?
So.
But the sun sets at 6 or 7, especially in the fall and spring.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Joe is torturing the children. I don't like it.
There's so much child abuse in these books. Micah, how important is this subject to a wizard's overall education, do you think?
I would say, I like astronomy, and I was going to add that actually when I took a course in college, and you're a little bit older then, but you were required to do some coursework at night. It just makes sense that, you have to go out and observe certain star patterns or planets or other things like that. It's just the nature of having to be successful in that kind of a course. But I think to the overall education, it's probably on the C or D line. I don't know that I can really rate it any higher. Though the astronomy tower itself is very important in the series. I asked the question, if you were to go to present day astronomy tower, would there be a sign at the top that reads Dumbledore fell here?
Oh gosh.
That would, I think everybody knows. They don't need to be reminded.
I was hoping for a few more laughs than that, but clearly a sore subject.
Dark humor.
Too soon, Micah. Too soon.
You would almost think that maybe they would close it down for a while. Like, who would want to be up there knowing what happened there?
Well, some people don't have a choice. They have to go to class.
Well, move it.
Yeah,
move it.
Do you think there'd be some type of memorial there like they have in Godric's Hollow for Harry's family?
Yeah.
Maybe.
With that sign, Dumbledore fell here.
Dumbledore is buried right on the grounds, though. He's buried right on the school grounds. That'll be the memorial right there.
That's true.
What do you guys think, though, from a overall grade perspective? Do you think it's in that same range?
I would say it's very low in importance, to be honest with you.
So you agree?
And yeah, and it's as evidenced by the fact that we really don't see the astronomy class throughout the series. I can see why J.K. Rowling would have wanted to put this in the curriculum, because space, astronomy
was foreboding. It's foreboding too. The centaurs are big on celestial, events. They use it for divination, which we'll get into later. But knowing the planets and constellations is important as knowing, our place as humans on planet Earth in the greater picture, rest of the universe. But it's not something that's practical. Like, Harry does not use what he learns in astronomy at any point in the series. Right. So,
well, and it's, as you touched on, it's very limited in terms of its appearance. I think oftentimes you hear more about the homework that they're doing for astronomy than actually physically being in the class. And I know one of the more memorable moments is really when Harry has to take his owl in astronomy. And so my trivia question is actually related to that, and it is, what did Harry receive in his owl astronomy? What was the grade that he got?
I bet it was average, somewhere in the middle.
So A, acceptable?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess exceeds expectations.
Robert?
I would guess acceptable at best, considering he's interrupted with it.
That is the correct answer, acceptable.
Ah, very nice, very nice, very nice.
Jennifer, who's listening live, she says, I'd argue it is very important since it seems to be their only science class. This is where they learn the scientific method and how to explore the world around them in an organized fashion. I may be biased, though, as an astronomy grad student.
Yeah. They also don't have English or grammar classes, so they probably can't spell very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Potions is a little bit like chemistry, too, so they have that.
That's true. Potions is probably more sciencey.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so they have 2 sciencey classes. Next course, Care of Magical Creatures.
Ooh.
This is taken at your 3rd year or higher, taught by Hagrid, of course. The class became slightly controversial due to the beasts that Hagrid would use. Of course, one of the biggest examples of this is the hippogriff coming for Draco, and Lucius raising a fuss over Hagrid's ideas for what makes a good lesson. You needed an owl in this class to become a magizoologist, which I thought was definitely worth mentioning in light of this new Newt era of films. Luna was another one who became a magizoologist, which I actually forgot. And fun fact, in her earliest notes, J.K. Rowling says she originally just called this class Beasts. Which is also kind of foreboding because Fantastic Beasts.
Care of Magical Creatures is much more PC. I think that's what she was going for.
Yeah. Yeah, as tensions evolved in her mind about what certain sentient beasts would
how they would react.
How they would react to being called beasts. Although you're not caring for centaurs, they are taking care of themselves. So
so I didn't really have much else to share there. We didn't, it was of course a prominent class thanks to Hagrid's teaching, but I never found this course. I guess it is important if you are going to end up running into beasts in the wild, but I don't think most wizards would.
Right.
So, in terms of importance, and no offense to Hagrid, but he's not exactly a great teacher. So, if this course was important, I think Dumbledore would have been appointed somebody with more skills. Sorry, to teach it. So I'm gonna grade it a C in importance.
Yeah, I can't argue it's more important, but I will say I would take this class. And learning how to take care of other living creatures is pretty important, I think, for everybody to do. I'm glad this class is assigned to them at the very least. So those who are going to go into a field where they work with animals can get, the basics down and figure out if that's their passion.
Mm-hmm. I would just argue the ability to identify different beasts or creatures and know what you might be up against if you ever are confronted by one of them, how to interact with them, how to tame them. We see it with the hippogriff. But again, how often in your day-to-day life are you going to come in contact with these beasts? It's probably, as you said, Andrew, very limited. So, is there a comparable course that in the Muggle world? I mean, the biology, but not even, because you're.
Probably equestrianism, if that's what it's called, riding horses, caring for farming, if you're in a rural area and you have to take care of a farm or run animals that way, probably be pretty important.
And there are many animal study fields, I imagine.
Yeah, well, veterinarian.
True, but
veterinary school.
Right. Yeah, veterinary school. But as a core course, I mean that this is something.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, but this goes into the whimsical wizarding world. It's kind of oddball stuff like this in astronomy that would be required, because I don't know why, just because it's a magical world. So I have so this is my question for you three. Using a hippogriff for personal transportation, is it legal or illegal?
Wait, is it what?
Legal or illegal?
Oh.
Is it legal to use a hippogriff for personal transportation?
I don't know why you'd be asking this question if it was, but I'm going to say it is. I'm going to say it is. I really believe it.
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say it's illegal.
Okay, Eric, you do bring up a good point. It is illegal.
Damn.
Under the International Statute of Wizarding Secrecy. So that's the specific reason why. It's because they would be too noticeable otherwise.
That's a good point. I thought it was a trick question because it's very clearly not aligned with the law that Harry rides Buckbeak to safety because the law wants to execute Buckbeak, but otherwise would be legal. But okay, I see where I was wrong.
So that's Care of Magical Creatures.
Nice. Let's go to, then, in that case, Defense Against the Dark Arts. One of my favorite classes that they teach at Hogwarts. It is compulsory every year at Hogwarts. You are taking Defense Against the Dark Arts at least through the OWL level, and then you can choose to get into the NEWT courses afterwards. But for Harry, it's taught by a variety of colorful characters, from Professor Quirinus Quirrell to Gilderoy Lockhart, Remus Lupin, our favorite, Mad-Eye Moody, and Dolores Umbridge. And then, of course, Snape himself teaches it in year 6. This subject has many facets, but I think we can all agree it's vital to a wizard's survival and growth. There are dark things in this world, ladies and gentlemen, and Defense Against the Dark Arts is going to teach you how to deal with it. Whether it's a disarming charm, a shield charm, and other such things, it's important to have your fighting chops. You can wield magic, so here's what to do to protect yourself with it. I gave this class a grade of A+. In
Absolutely.
importance.
I'm going to say A++. I think it's major, very high importance. Must have.
Yeah. Again, Harry's own experience with it is a little awkward, a little strange at times. I don't really think they learn anything in the second year, except Expelliarmus, which they learned from Snape, ironically, because the teacher is just so useless. And Umbridge herself, too, they are not learning new spells. It's all practical. It's all reading in year 5. So a lot of what they learn is actually outside in Dumbledore's army, where Harry catches all his classmates up to speed. But it's still just very useful. It's not like you're going in bars and getting in fights, but if you do go the wrong way of another wizard, it's important to know how to protect yourself. It would be like general fitness or general martial arts sort of self-defense type stuff. Again, not to be not to be on the offense, but to be on the defense successfully as a wizard.
One of my favorite parts of the Harry Potter series overall, I think, was looking forward to the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. I actually really liked how the position was quote unquote cursed. And you would meet somebody new. It was fun to see somebody new take over such an important course.
Do you remember?
And they're also different.
Do you remember when they released the description of Umbridge and we wondered, but it wasn't announced who she was, so we wondered if we were going to have a woman Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher and how cool that was going to be?
I don't remember that, but
yeah, it was before book 5 came out. It was the description of her. I think it's the first one where she's like toad-like and this, that, the other thing. We didn't know who it was going to be, but I think there was some happy speculation. Of course, she's the worst, but it was really, really cool that there was a mystery. You're right. You reminded me it was always something to look forward to.
I thought
every year.
I could be wrong, but I thought that was more for Rufus Scrimgeour when they revealed in Half-Blood, well, prior to Half-Blood Prince coming out, they said he had like a lion-like mane or something like that.
A lion-like.
But it could have been for Umbridge as well.
Yeah.
I don't remember that
book
far
6.
back.
So here's my trivia question for you guys for Defense Against the Dark Arts. And you're going to buzz in for this, okay, because there's a right answer. So just say buzz if you know the answer. And the first person to buzz in with a successful answer gets 5 points. What does the Homorphous charm do?
Amorphous.
Homorphous charm. This
Please
is some
spell it.
It's in the doc. HOMORPHOUS.
Copy paste Google search. No.
All right.
HOMO.
I'm probably confusing this with something else, but doesn't it reveal the presence of another person?
That's not the right charm. There is a charm. It's the incantation for the charm you speak is Homonym Revelio. Okay, so time's up. The Homorphous charm apparently returns a werewolf into human form.
Oh, okay.
If you encounter them.
I was trying to break the word into pieces so I could figure it out, but
yeah, homo, same, or human. Morph as in changing a human.
Yeah,
something like that.
I saw homo and I started trying to figure out if this like Dumbledore used it in the series, but
no.
I was getting off track.
So it is covered in Defense Against the Dark Arts, I think during Prisoner of Azkaban, when Snape is still trying to out Remus Lupin as a werewolf. Or it might be book 5. I'm going to actually look up. I wrote it down. Amorphous charm.
You gotta wonder, is that something only a really powerful wizard can do? Because Lupin goes through all that effort to take the Wolfsbane potion every month and all that. If someone could just cast that
on him. That's a good point. Actually, you know what? This is that we might have spotted a sort of plot hole. It's covered in year 2. Lockhart tells them about it. The Homorphous charm. And he might be exaggerating, I guess, or I think it's one of those things where he's like, and luckily I was there just in time to catch a Homorphous charm, which of course returned the werewolf back to, maybe like that, but it's still mentioned a year before all of that trouble and before Lupin, before we meet Lupin and see what a pain he has during transformation. So maybe it's a development thing.
If it was anyone else other than Lockhart, I'd say it's a plot hole, but I think that's a good explanation.
Yeah, maybe he's exaggerating. So maybe my trivia question was not worth anything. Sorry, guys.
No, it was. Good question.
No, yeah.
Good discussion, too.
Yeah.
Next course, Charms. So this is considered a core class at Hogwarts and Ilvermorny, taught by Flitwick. It's very important in that it teaches wand movement, swish and flick, and all of the handy spells that you need in your everyday life. So this is massively important. There hasn't been much drama with this class, especially, compared to something like Defense Against the Dark Arts. Flitwick was a smart professional guy. He didn't really step out of line. And this class, I think, prepared Harry for so many crucial moments. These spells seem simple or basic or like elementary level because you do learn them early on, but then so many of these charms end up being so important throughout the series. Sample spells include classics like Lumos and the Levitation charm, Leviosa, the Summoning charm, Accio, the Mending charm, Reparo. And these, I still remember as a kid, and maybe in part because of the video games, but I used to love the charms. Those are, it's just basic magic that even outside of Harry Potter, you kind of think about a lot of the time.
I agree. 100%.
I was thinking A++ for Defense Against the Dark Arts, but I would have to take it back a little bit and give that one to Charms, because so many of the spells they use, even when they're actually fighting, are charms and not really Defense Against the Dark Arts spells.
That's a good point, yeah.
It's a very good point. Charms are just the most useful. You use them the most, no matter what you're trying to do.
And I've probably said this on the show before, but I've always wished I had the Summoning charm Accio. I just want to be a wizard for that reason alone. I'll deal with Voldemort if that's what it takes to have the power to use Accio. We're all on the couch and we want to, with the remotes across the room, and we just want to stick our hand in the air and go, Accio.
or the chips, or the beer, or the
Guac.
soda, or,
Right. The voice recognition technology like Siri and the Echo might be the closest we get to an Accio type of thing, just using our voice to do certain things.
Summon information, yeah.
Siri, turn on the lights. Siri, order me some food.
Can you get Siri to order for you?
I think so, with certain apps.
Like through
the Echo.
Interesting.
Yeah. So importance, Robert, you were saying A++. I would agree. I mean, you can grade these. You can use the grade more than once. We didn't make a rule saying otherwise. So, I agree with you that these are more important than the Defense Against the Dark Art spells because of their everyday use. So yeah, I'm with you there. A++.
I would agree.
Cool.
Yeah, I think these two courses back to back are pretty solid contenders for if we were ranking them. If we had to say, top courses that you would take in the wizarding school.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure.
Eric?
Yeah. Do you have a trivia question for us, Andrew?
Yep. So we all know and love Accio, but what is the charm and or incantation that pushes away items from you?
Oh,
if
God.
you don't want that remote near you because you want to focus on reading your book instead.
Disgusto.
Disgusto.
Disgust. Does it start?
You got the first letter right.
I was going to say, did it start with a D? Is it Defindo?
No. It's a banishing charm, and the
Flipendo.
spell is No. It's Depulso.
Depulso. That's what it is.
So Disgusto is kind of
Pulso.
close.
Yeah, well, I said you got the first letter right. But I would never, I don't know what I would use that for. Like pushing
It's-
away
So
something that smells.
I think
If somebody's up in
Depulso
your
my
grill.
trash can.
Yeah.
I think what's very clear is that none of us would do very well at a Harry Potter trivia night.
I know.
Hey,
If
one's
Eric and
coming
I
up.
actually go to one here in Chicago, I'm going to do so badly.
Yeah. One's coming up. We're going to go and we're going to kill it.
Okay.
Yeah. But we got to start studying. So episodes like this. Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Yeah, watch that question comes up. What's the opposite of Accio? I'm going to
Accio.
stand up and just yell, Depulso!
And then every team in there will have the right answer for that round and the point because you shouted out the answer.
You'll know who listeners are from that question.
You're
Oh,
right.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's go to Divination. I talked about this earlier. Here is the overview that I wrote down. Talons, crystal balls, and tea leaves. Oh my, this subject is the very key to unlocking, or is it unfogging, the very unknown future. One's own fortune or misfortune may be discoverable if only one has the patience and the inner eye to help them tell. Divination is another one of those subjects that gets a bad rap due to the trio's own experiences with it. Hermione straight up quits this class. And it's kind of used as sort of a punchline between Harry and Ron for the 3 years that they take it. However, I've always felt that divination is kind of interesting because this is a world where magic does exist. And so it's not absurd to assume that the near future is something that you could, in fact, tell. And, have you ever gone to a psychic, guys, and thought, hey, like what they told me is kind of eerily correct in certain areas, and I want to believe what they told me about the future? You guys ever go to a psychic or get tarot, cards read or anything like that?
No, because when they do give you those readings or predictions, they're just so basic and open-ended that they cover you.
I think that's
You will be breathing next Sunday.
well.
Oh wow! What?
I don't
I'll
think
be
they can
breathing?
legally.
How did it know? How did
I don't think
know?
they can legally promise you that you'll be breathing next Sunday. But no, I've
The
always.
sun will rise 2 Sundays from now, and a friend from the past will appear on your social media.
I know what I'm
feed.
getting you for Christmas. It's going to be a reading at a Chicago psychic.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've just always loved it. I've always been sort of interested in the paranormal, and this is as close, I think, as Hogwarts gets to that, despite having ghosts walking about. But as far as importance, again, unless you're really good at the subject, and because of Trelawney's teaching style and the few moments of clarity where she is actually giving true info, or she seems to have the actual sight that she's trying to teach everybody else to get. The 2 times that she does are by accident. And so I don't think anybody in Harry's years at Hogwarts is able to really utilize the class in the way that it's meant to be taught. Maybe Parvati Patil, who is obsessed with Ferencz's brand of divination, might be the only student who gets the closest, but it's not something you really can use, for day-to-day life. I don't know if you're waking up and during the morning tea are reading the leaves to see if you should be cautious about the day or if you should wear the blue sweater instead of the red sweater. I don't know if that's a lifestyle that people are choosing, so I gave it a C.
Wow. I would agree with that. It's somewhere in there, kind of similar to the astronomy. And speaking of the centaurs,
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a lot of crossover there. Like, they talk a lot about reading the stars. Well, in order to be able to read the stars, you need to have some foundation or some knowledge in astronomy. Those two subjects overlap in some capacity. They have to, just based on that side of it, the sort of the stars and the planets and the sky side of it. But when you were talking about Trelawney and how it's almost I'm trying to think, like, it's passed down to her. It's something that's, part of her, right? This ability to have these moments where she actually delivers these prophecies. It's not, I don't know, it's something that's learned, right? It's almost by accident that that these things are happening. It's not something that she has control over. So that's what lends itself to a lot of people believing that she's a fraud. Because who's to be able to really evaluate her that what she's teaching has some practical, nature to it.
Well, it's like asking the question, like, which came first, the seer or the bloodline, right? Because, like, she's in it because of her blood. But I totally think you can train and be good at this. I think the issue with Trelawney is that we forget sometimes Dumbledore, like, put her there because of what she did. Like, her strategic value to the good side versus the bad side is so high that it excuses the fact that she's just an awful teacher who's probably completely fraudulent, and has deluded herself into believing that she's actually good. Doesn't render the subject completely, innate and not interesting. I think there are seers out there. I think there are people who can read this stuff and treat it, fairly and really predict stuff. But just in the case of Trelawney, it's not. She got lucky twice because she's a descendant of an actual seer, and Dumbledore, she's only at Hogwarts because Dumbledore put her there for safekeeping, because he's the Machiavellian, great master manipulator. But here's the trivia question for you guys. Using playing cards to tell one's fortune is known as what?
Is that tarot?
Nope.
Yeah.
These are just ordinary playing cards. So, like, Queen of Hearts, Jack of Spades, that sort of thing.
Barrow. Blackjack plus tarot.
It's called cartomancy. Cartomancy. CARTOMANCY.
I was way off. My next guess was going to be Go Fish.
They
That's
actually
a better
do.
answer,
This is one of the. Yeah, Go Fish. This is one of the versions of fortune telling. They actually do cover in year 3, in Harry's year 3. The tea leaves get much more focused that year, but cartomancy is another thing.
Next class is flying. This one, there's really not much information on it. We see it in book 1, Harry's first flying lesson. It's a big moment for him. And it's one of the more fun classes at Hogwarts, assuming you're any good at it.
Yeah.
Unlike Albus Severus, who was struggling. Taught by Madam Hooch. It's only taught in the first year, so one and done. I just had one question, which is, this isn't the pop question, but do you guys think you would be any good at flying? Or would you have a fear of flying and not do it? Not be good?
I would want to believe I'd be good.
I think
I want to believe I would be good too, but nervous at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'd be okay at it, be able to do it, but I don't think I'd be playing Quidditch or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'd want to play Quidditch.
Yeah. What position would you want?
Probably chaser.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
Yeah. We're part of the team.
Quiz question: what is the highest numerical clean sweep broom we're aware of? We saw a lot of them.
Is that the 7?
Micah?
I'll agree with them.
Y'all are not way off, but 11.
Oh, man.
Clean sweep 11.
Clean sweep.
Okay.
11. I like that question. Flying is sort of like your driver's test. Because every wizard should be able to learn at least how to sit on a broom properly in case you need to travel. It's just the wizard's probably most common way of travel. They learn it when they're 11 and we learn when we're, 15, 16.
Right.
But it's like that.
It was seen in Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince.
Oh, yeah.
Led Ron to a couple of victories, so he was good with it.
Yeah.
Well, I think
it'd
it's
be
an
one of those
important
things
course.
that everybody has to do.
Yeah, as a rite of passage.
It'd be nice exercise too, or like to get out and have the wind. Well, I don't know about exercise because you're just sitting on a broom, but I mean, in terms of like getting some fresh air, I'm surprised there aren't more students described as just like flying around, especially at Hogwarts with its protective spells. You would think that you could just go out and fly on your broom if you have one.
Yeah, like instead of pet therapy, there's broom therapy.
Yeah.
I'm stressed over these owls, man. I'm gonna go take a quick ride around the castle.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good
All right,
point. I
next
think
course.
I definitely would have been doing that.
Yeah, so next course is Herbology, another mandatory course at Hogwarts. It's taught by Professor Pomona Sprout. It's held in the greenhouses and includes plenty of hands-on activities. It could be argued to be one of the more dangerous subjects at the school. And, you think of some of the different plants that the trio encountered during their time, mandrakes and trying to extract bubotuber pus. Hopefully I said that right. And also just not being able to recognize plants or herbs correctly, I think, could have pretty nasty consequences, especially if things look very similar to one another. But herbology, I think, as we are all well aware, is the study of magical plants and fungi, including their care and magical properties and uses. And some magical plants form important ingredients in potions, while others just straight up have their own magical effects. And we've seen that at many times throughout the series.
Yeah. Gillyweed, for instance.
I will never forget the mandrakes. That's what this course will always remind me of every time I hear of Herbology or Professor Sprout.
Well, you're definitely right that it's dangerous, Micah. I mean, by year 6, they're working on, it's not acromantula, but it's the big piranha plant type things that they're venomous tentacula, maybe. You could get really injured if you're not careful. These plants, unlike the plants and flowers in our own world, fight back much more directly. It's sort of like a substitute care of magical creatures class, to be honest, except you're dealing with plant life instead of animal life.
I'd say this one's probably definitely more useful than care of magical creatures. And Harry didn't use a lot of these things, but there's a lot of uses that come out of some of these plants. Dittany, gillyweed you guys mentioned, mandrakes. It seems like there's a lot of stuff that you can really get for everyday use from these magical plants.
That's a good point.
Absolutely. Maybe also
just like charms.
Think back to Sorcerer's Stone and Devil's Snare when they're trying to get down into track down the Sorcerer's Stone.
That'd be perfect for home security.
I was just thinking that too.
Mm-hmm. And Harry does advance in Herbology to prep for the Newt exam. He actually exceeds expectations in his owl for Herbology. Wow. So that won't be the trivia question this time. The one that I will ask was, what did J.K. Rowling call Herbology in her early notes?
Oh, man.
Care of magical plants.
Plants.
Nice. Good guesses. Any others?
No.
Yeah.
She called it herbalism.
Herbalism.
Meh.
Okay. That's a good one. And finally, for now, we have History of Magic, the overview. The most boring teacher in Hogwarts has to offer drolls in lecture style on this course, which is meant to be insightful into the lives and societies of all magical brethren. The theory is that knowing one's history can influence and save our future as a society. You know, as much as I actually enjoyed history in school, learning about the revolution in France and learning about, at least from one perspective, the founding of the country of America in which we live, I can't say it's been all that helpful. Judging history of magic, a class which Harry actively hates and falls asleep in terms of how useful it is to wizards, we see virtually nobody getting any use out of it except maybe Hermione. History of magic is just there. It's the obligatory lecture class that they go to. They have to write these long essays about it. And it's just something, it's like the memorization of facts and dates and times that doesn't seem to bear much fruit, for Harry. However, I think it's implied that, like, in the same way that learning from our past mistakes, like we study the Holocaust so that it doesn't happen again, so that we as a people are aware to see the signs of dictators and charismatic jerks coming to take over. You know, we're supposed to be able to prevent it. So the theory of all these learning of all these goblin rebellions could inform what the relationship is between humans and goblins in present day is perfectly fine. You get it. And it just doesn't seem like the wizards are that interested in the goblins, either in the past or in the present. So it's a real shame. But how can I make the case that this is actually useful if nobody in Harry's year is using it to its full potential?
Yeah. But you got to know the basics. You got to know the history, right? That's why we learn history in the Muggle world as well.
Where you come from, where you're going.
Well, how helpful would some of this information be in terms of, let's say, the Chamber of Secrets or the Founders and Harry tracking down certain Horcruxes? You know, in theory, I'm just saying, if he had paid more attention in these classes, perhaps there were information that Professor Binns was putting out there that would have been helpful. Normally it was Hermione who was always coming up with the solutions, but you'd think that in there somewhere would be important information that he would need. And certainly, I would say, you know, in terms of becoming an Auror, it's important to know the history of you know, your kind.
I think history is pretty important in general. Maybe not the way they teach it, where you're memorizing dates and facts and all those type of things, but in some of the moral lessons that it offers is pretty important.
Yeah, you're getting into like anthropology and the study of cultures.
Right. Well, so one question I did.
Funnily enough, you mentioned Chamber of Secrets. I'm thinking back to when they had to beg to learn about the Chamber of Secrets.
Right. And maybe all along Professor Binns was just spieling away about it, but they were all asleep or, you know, bored out of their mind. Who knows? But
it's a shame.
The question I had, though, is, do you find it interesting that the way that J.K. Rowling portrayed some of these subjects or some of these professors, right? Because you're thinking about history and you have literally a ghost who's teaching the course who, you know, I mean, what kind of message is that sending to, you know, the students or even to us as readers in terms of how she perceives taking a course in history?
I think it's definitely meant to, we're meant to identify with feeling as though
it conveys boredom, basically, is what it's doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even Professor Binns had said that he was so boring he didn't realize he was dead. It's just
that's very honest.
Yeah, but really, honestly, based on our discussions here, I actually upped my grade of the subject to a B. I think that there's more there. I'm going to give the subject the benefit of the doubt. It's extremely important to know where we've been. It will help us navigate to where we are going. And again,
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So
where we BINN.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would give it a B or a C. Oh, you didn't do that on purpose?
No, I didn't do that where we bins. It's important to know where we bins, where we come from.
And what happens in our new beginnings?
So here's a trivia question, but you're all going to get this. What is the most practically useful history of magic lesson that Harry ever has? While conscious, I put.
While conscious.
It's got to be the Chamber of Secrets, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
People sometimes I tried to be tricky because in the movie it's McGonagall in Transfiguration that teaches them.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the book, they still have to squeeze it out of bins, right?
Very much, yeah, very
Yeah.
much, because he is just so shocked that the entire class is weighted on every bated breath.
Right. It woke them up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's
I
never. He's
think that's-
possibly never had all eyes on him before, as the book writes. It's a great scene in Chamber of Secrets. But then the one, the reason I stipulate while conscious is because Harry has at least one and probably closer to 2 or 3 dreams, like heavy fever dreams, Voldemort type stuff, while in History of Magic. Doesn't he fall asleep and see Sirius has been taken to the Ministry in book 5, and he's in History of Magic at that time? I think that's accurate. But yeah, so that's History of Magic.
All right. So those are the subjects we're talking in the main show today. In bonus MuggleCast on Patreon, we're going to be talking about Muggle studies, potions, and Transfiguration. So head over to patreon.com/MuggleCast if you would like to hear our thoughts on those. So to wrap up this discussion, let's say we can each create our own schedule with 5 classes. Only pick 5, just for argument's sake. Which 5 classes would we each pick?
Definitely Charms, 100%. Can I just take Charms 5 times, actually?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Become
okay.
a Charms pro.
Yeah, good. I'd go with, in this order, Charms, Defense Against the Dark Arts, Divination, Care of Magical Creatures, and Herbology.
I'll go with DADA, Charms, Flying, Transfiguration, Astronomy, just because I said it was useless at the beginning.
So you think you're going to just slide by in that course? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and I want to go to a class that's at midnight at the scene where Dumbledore fell,
Oh.
so I can develop my Dumbledore Tower of Falling Terror ride.
There you go. For me, I'd go Defense Against the Dark Arts, Transfiguration, Herbology, Care of Magical Creatures, and Charms.
Okay.
I would go
you, Mr.
with
Robert.
Charms, Transfiguration, Herbology, Potions, and I think Flying. I think I'd actually leave Defense Against the Dark Arts out.
Nice.
But you won't be ready.
Yeah, I don't know. Based on what we were talking about before, I think Charms has got it covered.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, fair enough. That's why
That's-
Oak's taking it 5 times over.
that's fair. I think, Robert, I think you got a really strong course schedule there.
So I like Hermione.
Oh yeah, and
That's
there's arithmancy and ancient runes, which we know nothing about, but are taught at Hogwarts as well.
All right, there's our discussion. Please send in any feedback you might have. MuggleCast@gmail.com, Twitter.com/MuggleCast, over on Patreon, our voicemail line, which we'll give you the number of later on. Any of those options. And we will actually address more. We have some more questions that we will ask next week. We just ran out of time for this episode. Like, what course would we like to teach?
Yeah.
What course would we play hooky on the most?
Who's the hottest professor?
Micah. You are Micah.
Thanks, man.
No problem, bro. We have one more sponsor this week, ZipRecruiter. Are you a business owner who's hiring? Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? I want to tell you about the perfect place to find the best person for the job. It is ZipRecruiter.com. They are the ideal place because you can post your job to 100 plus job sites with just one click. Then their powerful technology efficiently matches the right people to your job better than anyone else. And that's why ZipRecruiter is different. Because unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. And in fact, this is really impressive. 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within 1 day. I've hired people. I know what the process can be like. And ZipRecruiter, they handle one of the hardest parts for you so you can get straight to hiring the best candidate. So find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. For free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/MuggleCast. That's ZipRecruiter.com/MuggleCast. Give it a try. You're going to like it and find some candidates real quick if you're hiring. So thank you, ZipRecruiter. We're going to do a bit of a new segment. I thought this would be fun to do over time. And since we've been talking about Hogwarts classes, this episode is a good place to start. Pop quiz question of the week. How many, we're going to start with an easy-ish one.
Oh, I like doing the, quizzing each other during the discussion, so this segment seems fun.
Yes. How many courses are first years required to take? Simple. But important.
Let's see. Don't
say it now.
You want to speculate? Okay. All right.
No. Well, I mean...
No, you can't give the answer away right now.
No, not get the answer. But I mean, in terms of being required, if we look at Harry's school list, that should probably...
So this is speculation.
There is a definitive answer, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
We will reveal that definitive answer on next week's episode.
Cool.
This is my way of preparing Eric and I for Harry Potter Trivia Night.
Exactly.
So that does it for this week's episode. We have more for you over on Patreon. We have a bonus MuggleCast installment where we are talking about the other 3 Hogwarts courses, Transfiguration, Potions, and Muggle Studies. Check out our website. You can get show notes, download old episodes, get links to our social media, and contact us. Send us an owl, whether it's written or by phone. 9203-MUGGLE is our voicemail line. That's 1-920-368-4453. If you want to send us something, we do have the P.O. Box. Our address is MuggleCast 4044 North Lincoln Avenue, Box 144, Chicago, IL 60618. Still don't have that key from Eric, but maybe next week. Robert, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to having your wife on in the near future.
Thanks for having me. She's really looking forward to it, too.
Cool. I hope you had a good time, and thanks for your support.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. It was great.
Yeah, sure thing. And thank you for listening. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
I'm Micah.
And I'm Robert.
See y'all next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.